And when he reclined at table, he took bread, said the blessing, gave it to them and said, "This is my body. Take and eat it." In the same way he took the cup. After he pronounced the blessing, he gave it to them to drink and said, "This is my blood. The blood of the new and everlasting covenant will be shed for you. Whenever you do this, you do it in memory of me." My dear people, today we come together to celebrate one of the greatest mysteries of the Church. In fact, I call the Eucharist, as the Council call it, the center of our faith. Because without Eucharist, we are nothing. Without Jesus, we are nobody. In order to understand this feast today, the Church prepared to us 3 readings. And the first reading is taken from the book of Exodus, where Moses instilled in the people what God has said to him, how they are to really commemorate and really live on their memory of what God has done for them. And that's why Moses today, he really wants to make a covenant with the people. After he came from the mountain, and now he is down after the trouble he had with them, because many of them went into apostasy. That means they worshipped the god, the calf. And really he was so angry that after a few days he left them, he come back and see the people turn away from the true God. Again he went to God and asked him for forgiveness, and God renewed again the covenant with him. And now he is trying to inflict it, to give it to the people. And after he himself read the book of the Torah, where God instructed him what to do and how they are going to live, he asked the young men from every tribe to go and kill the bullocks and also the calves. But he asked them that when they are going to take out the blood, not to destroy it, but to bring it to him. And after they culture the animals, and before they offer them to God, they collect the blood into bowls. And after he read the Torah, that means the 10 Commandments, and Moses asked them, "Whom you want to serve?" The whole community said, "We will serve only God, and he will be our God, and we pledge to always be his people." And Moses take half of the bowl of the blood, and he sprinkled it on the Torah. He sprinkled it on the readings. And then he take the other half, and he sprinkled it on the community. And that he sealed by that blood the covenant between them and God. In the Gospel today, we find Jesus at the Last Supper. And here we have what happened and how they prepared for the Passover, and how Jesus instructed them to prepare for him. And while he was at table with them, he gave us the great institution of the Holy Orders and also of the Eucharist. As I always say, there is no priesthood without Eucharist, and there is no Eucharist without priesthood, because one anticipates the other. Jesus told them that this blood, this body, and this blood is going to be given to them. And that's why the words of the consecration are so beautiful. "This is my body, which will be given up for you on Good Friday. This is my blood, which will be poured out for you on Good Friday." And there Jesus, by that very action, he really sealed that everlasting covenant that God made with the human beings. But today I'd like to really focus on the second reading taken from the Hebrews. The author of this letter is trying to say to us, when Christ came as high priest of the good things that have to come to be, passed to a greater and more perfect tabernacle, more than that, not made by hands, that is not belong to this creation. So Jesus, when he was born to be a priest. In fact, the high priest. Whenever we go to Mass and we see the priest at the altar, it's not me, it's not Monsignor, it's not anyone else, but Jesus Christ is offering himself for you. Every time we come to the sacrifice of the Mass, we are renewing, without shedding of blood, what takes place on Good Friday, where Jesus again used the lungs of the priest, the hands of the priest, and the voice of the priest to proclaim, "This is my body." And why? So that He can nourish us, so He can strengthen us, so He can be for us the food on our pilgrimage to our kingdom. Remember that our destination is not here, our destination is in heaven. So while we are here, we need, as we say, the strength. And the strength that He gives us is from His very food. That He strengthens us and makes us aware that He is always with us. That He is not going to leave us alone. That He is not going to abandon us. But He is with us in a very special way in the real presence of the altar. Although He is with us in the Word, although He is with us in the assembly, although He is with us in the celebrant, He is with us in a very special way, in a real way, in the sacrament of the altar. And that's why He said, when He comes and enter into a veil, that means under a veil, from the eyes of humanity, He was hidden to be the divine Son of God. But actually He was. And that's why He said it was not made by hands. Jesus is not a creation of humanity. Although He assumed the nature of man, but from eternity He was divine. In fact, we said last Sunday, He is God from God. He is light from light. He is begotten, not made. That is exactly what the author is trying to say to us today. And then He said He enters once for all into the sanctuary. Not with the blood of goats or calves, but by His own blood. The sanctuary that Jesus entered is the sanctuary of Calvary, where He, on that sanctuary, on that altar of sacrifice, He offered Himself to the eternal Father, Himself, for the salvation of humanity. And He did not do this by sending young men to kill bullocks and to kill animals, but by His own blood, by His very divine blood. And then He continued to say to us, to obtain eternal redemption. So Jesus died on the cross for one reason, to save us from our sins, and to be our Redeemer, to give us that redemption, that though to sin, because of our forefathers, we are unable to be forgiven. And that's why God became flesh. So one like us, although He is God, He will make up for our sinfulness.